doing its thing. And hopefully, let's put this a bit closer to my face here. There we go. Hopefully that is everything working and live. So, hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Disgustingly Resilient Podcast live. Another plague surgery. So, myself is obviously here. So I'm Adrian, and I'm joined by
Death Guard Dave. I'm back.
Death Guy Dave is back once again. Pleasure to have you back again.
Hi, mate.
So today we're doing through some more list analysis. So this is supposed to become almost like a weekly or bi-weekly thing, but me and Dave were kind of surprised by the amount of desire, should we say, for list analysis. So basically we are going to do this one as well, and then get another one in next week to try and catch up, because we are about 30 lists behind at the moment. So we have a fair work cut out.
You all got a bit keen, which is great. But the plague surgery is here and the doctors are in the house. So
it's one way of putting it, for sure. It's definitely one way of putting it. So just before we go into this, because I know I've had a few people message like, "Can you do mine tonight?" and stuff like that. I'm just going to be honest, the only fair way we can do this is everyone has paid the same membership. It's just to go in the order that they are. Unless you bribe me like Step on Snack last night, but I'm not advocating for that. I'm just saying. But we will just be picking up from where we left off and sort of going forward from there with it. So last night we were at, let me scroll all the way up to Lord Fester, I believe we were at. We're not going to spend too much time sort of chatting beforehand. We're going to get straight into it. Although I believe, Dave, you have a funny... Well, I set this up. You have a funny story from a game that happened recently, don't you?
yeah, so I played on Friday night. I had someone from my club come over. We basically got a faction competition going on. So 4 players from Chaos, 4 players from Tyranids, 4 players from Two Armed Xenos, 4 players from Imperium. I was matched against Hypercrypt Necrons, and there was a monolith in there. The guy's a great player, and so I was a bit like, this could be a bit tricky because I'm in the spirit of it. I'm not running a super hardcore tournament list. But I did have a Night Rampager in there, and I positioned it bang on the far against the middle ruins on the new UKTC terrain, right on the edge of my deployment zone. And he put the monolith down, and immediately I went, I think with a 12-inch move through the building, with an average advance, and then probably a re-rolled charge, I can get to it. So he did his turn and didn't really move too much around and didn't screen it. So I moved everything else and said to him, I've got a ridiculous plan. I'm not sure if it's the right thing to do. And in fact, it probably isn't the right thing to do. But I'm going to move my other stuff and I'll come back to it. And then he said, what's your plan? And I said, to kill your monolith turn 1. So I crashed the Rampager. I was like, F it, I'm going to do it. So I crashed the Rampager through the wall, moved it 12. It was at a really nice angle, and then rolled a 3 on the advance. I contemplated re-rolling the advance to get that charge down. It would have been a 9. But then I was like, it's probably better to re-roll the charge. So I moved the knight another 3, and then used the once again ability to advance the charge. And I rolled a 6 on the charge. So I spent my one measly CP I had, and I re-rolled it, and I rolled a 6 and a 3, and the knight went straight into the monolith. And then I destroyed it with the Warp Strike Claw and the Reaper Chainsword, and then tagged one of his units, and as well sat on his home objective with 10 OC and took that off him as well. So he had to turn all of his guns and all of his units into killing the Rampager instead of porting around the board, which included bringing the Void Dragon across. So at the start of in his next turn, I then rapidly rest my 6-man Death Shroud with the Lord of Contagion in behind a wall, and then the next turn shot the crap out of the Void Dragon, took it down to 4 wounds, and then killed it with a Death Shroud. So in 2 turns I killed the monolith and the Void Dragon.
That's probably a pretty good gamble that paid off there, you could say.
Yeah, I mean it could have gone horribly wrong, but I just thought our community would like that one. So I think next time he will either keep it off the board or stick it in the corner of his deployment zone.
Yeah, actually show some respect to the Rampager. All right, so
and also to my blatant disregard for normal play.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Okay, so let's get into this then. So first up, we've got Lord Fester coming in with. So we got Biology Putrefier, Lord of Contagion with Deadly Pathogen, Malignant Playcaster, Mortarion, Typhus, 10-20 Plague Marines in big squads of 10, single Rhino there, Black Lord Terminators, Death Shroud Terminators, We did this one. Sorry, we did this one. There was a second Locus. There we go. This is the one. Somewhere. Okay. So Biology Putrefier times 2. Foul Blight Spawn with the droning, so spare 10 points in the list. Another Foul Blight Spawn with Living Plague. Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of contagion with Daily Fashion. So that's 3 enhancements there, which is quite a lot of points.
That's a point sink, yeah.
So we've got Mortarian still, Typhus, so that's a heavy amount of points in characters right there. But let's see what we got backing up. We've got 2 squads of 10 Plague Marines. They've got double Rhino. Nice.
Good.
So that was the criticism ahead of his first list was only the 1 Rhino. We've got unit of Death Shroud Terminators, which is 3 man, still good. Fated Bloat Drone, 2 Plague Bus Crawls, 20 Poxwalkers, and the Nurglings, and he's going to test that one. Now, really, we're just going to compare this to his first one, which had the single Rhino inside it. And I think the immediate change I'm currently thinking of is what can we swap out possibly some of those enhancements for another unit. Death Guard enhancements are okay. They're not the greatest though. What's your opinion on enhancements, Dave?
If I've got points that I have to use at the end, then I spend it on enhancements. I will happily go into a game with no enhancements on my characters.
Yeah, they're a bit. They're interesting. They're okay.
It's not that they're terrible, but they're not. They're not. I don't think they're necessarily good enough to build the list to have them there when you go. I mean, have we got pretty much all of them on this list? 45, 55.
We've got as many.
Yeah. So we've got 70 points of enhancements in this list, which is 2 spawn, right? Or or a unit of cultists, and still an enhancement. I'm with you. I think I would rather have had bodies on the table, scoring objectives or screening units or things than whacking all the enhancements out.
Yeah, I think I agree with that because I mean even just dropping Living Plague and Droning, that's 35 points there. And then you could possibly put that towards upgrading something else in the list. You've got a unit of Nurglings there as well that could possibly swapped out. Again, it depends how much value you put in on that Infiltrate. If you don't need it, you could just put in the... you could swap out the Nurglings and the enhancements for like a unit of Chaos Spawn, which can actually do actions. Still pretty fast for you. And it gives you more board play, because if you actually look at this right now, on the board at the start of the game, you're going to have 2 Plague Bus Crawlers, Bloat Drone... 2 Rhinos, Morty. So you're quite lacking on like the area of the board, which is a little bit scary. I'd probably like some more units to run around and do trash, because we've got such a heavy investment in the characters up here. Now these 2 bricks of Plague Marines are going to do work. I only ever run 110 man because it's now 300 points now for each squad for the characters, which is a lot. And they aren't tough. They are fragile. So if you get accidentally your Rhino popped and they get killed, then you are really not looking in a great position there.
I mean, there's a 20 Poxwalker blob in the bottom. I mean, yes, that can hold quite a big area. It depends what your kind of mission packs look like, but yeah, I'm kind of with you. I think there's a lot in characters, a lot in enhancements, but is there also? And there's also no anti-tank.
Oh, is there? Oh, what's on the thingies? We got Plague
Spitters.
Yeah, so if you run into tanks on this list, you're gonna have quite a bit of an issue.
It's not that you can't. It's not that you can't play the game, but like we talked about in the last stream, you're gonna be playing much more defensive and much more this side of the wall to make them come around to get shots onto you, etc. But that is going to be a play style you're going to have to go straight for.
Yeah, but I mean, I think. Try it out, obviously. See, because again, we don't know your meta. You could be playing against like a lot of infantry in your meta, so maybe that's the reason for the Spitters. But I think in this one, I am happy with the character package if you weren't running Morty, because you can spend a lot on your characters there. But with Morty also taking up 320 points for like characters as well, you have a lot of points in characters and buffing units, but not many units on the actual board. Which means when you kind of like how Knights have an issue where when you, especially like Imperial who play big Knights. Once you start losing units, you're going to run out of the ability to both...
You can't play the game.
Yeah, because you're either going to have to commit to killing your opponent or scoring mission. And if you're not scoring mission, then you're not... If you decide to score the mission, because you've got so little units that can do actions, you're going to not be able to kill your opponent, which means your opponent has more models to kill you, which then like it's just a snowball effect because then you've got
Yeah.
even less units next turn. And the opposite is true if you decide to just kill your opponent, you start falling behind on mission, and again, it doesn't matter if you table your opponent. If you're down 1 point, you lose the game. So missions are very important. So that's why I would prefer to like run just the 110 man, especially if you're rocking Morty. I don't think you need two unless you're going for a heavy pressure, which this could be. If this is a heavy pressure list and you're trying to put like plague bus crawlers, the bloat drone, and the rhinos up in your opponent's
You're going to
face.
push it all, yeah.
But then that brings into question like the Poxwalker's job, and the
They're,
Nurglings
they're,
again.
they're going the Poxwalkers are going to have to become a screening unit if you're going to do that. And also, to your point about having less models on the table to start with, if you end up in the long edge deployment, then you're also risking your plague burst crawlers being away from Morty, which I assume he's in here to use his abilities to ignore modifiers to ignore damage, right? And if you actually have to use the plague burst crawlers separate to try and also hold wider areas, they might not even be in aura range of Morty, therefore negating his benefit.
Yeah, but again, give it a try. Let us know how it feels, because if you play that game and you do feel this way, then you can start knowing like, okay, maybe I need to have less big units, and like you can have the Morty playbook scroller package with like a 10-man rhino. That's a good pressure piece that'll push a lot forward. But then you might need to like maybe consider just taking 2 5-mans in the second rhino, cutting the characters out of it completely, and then using those like 120 points plus the enhancements for like some cultists or like some like chaos spawn, or even just like getting like a predator, because that's a unit that can sort of stay back and do some shooting from long range and still action if you need it. And there's no actual good like angles to shoot at. But
Great.
yeah, give it a shot. See how you feel. And I still people in the chat, are you still finding Nurglings useful? I didn't run them and didn't particularly miss them. I know they're still really good for dropping scout and stuff like that, but so far not been missing them as badly as I thought I would. I would like to have them for like, but again, I would more like to have them for the ability to deep strike and do actions, which they can't do regardless anymore.
Yeah, I didn't play them on Friday, and I won't be playing them on Thursday this week when I do my next round. So I'll be interested to see where it goes.
Yeah, so what to say, but yeah, let us know, Fester. So next one we're gonna have people talking. We got Wilkemax here. So Death Guard Summer, 2,000 points. So we got a Lord of Virulence with the droning. So
Sounds like an album name.
it does a bit, doesn't it? Death Guard Summer. So Lord of Virulence rocking the droning. So he's gonna have the 10-point spare. We're gonna assume. We've got a Malignant Playcaster rocking Shamble Rock. Actually, don't mind this combination. Because obviously we know the Malignant Playcaster himself is going to be dropping -2 to charge on stuff it hits. So then him also having -2 to charge on himself. That is, the ability to then -4 onto different charges for that. Yes, no, guys, I can turn him down. That's fine. Just let us know the volume levels. Volume levels is the hardest thing for me to do on lives. We obviously get to edit anything that's pre-recorded, but on lives it's just like as and when we go. So as long as you guys keep telling me in chat, let me know. I'll keep messing with the settings until we get a happy medium. But yeah, I don't mind Shamble on a Malignant Playcaster because it has natural inbuilt synergy with his own ability. So don't mind that. So then we've also got Mortarion again, rocking there. Typhus again. A 7-man Plague Marine squad, which is interesting. I'll ask your opinion on 7-mans in a second, Dave, because that is an interesting discussion.
Yes, it is.
A Rhino. We've got 5 Black Lord Terminators again. 2 units of Death Guard Cultists. A Hellbrute. A Mephitic Blight Hauler, 2 Plagueburst Crawls, 20 Poxwalkers, and double Carnivore. Okie dokie. This is my first attempt at a list I'm going to take to GT in a few weeks, then work on all fall. Potentially LVO and Journey if I can get the time off. My local scene carries GW layouts. Happy to buy and build units over the next few months to improve the list. Okay, this is an interesting. What's your initial feelings on this list?
I think there's a relatively good balance of it. My initial thing, I'm glad to see the cultists in there. I guess I'm looking at the Blight Lords, not to pick up from our previous conversations about how we feel about them, but who's going with them. Is anybody going with them? Whose type is going to run solo? There's
a lot of virulence, but
oh yeah, sorry, there was at the top. Yeah, he's in there too, and there's a couple of PVCs. Yeah. Okay. I think the big. Yeah. I think that maybe the single Blight Hauler as well is an interesting one. We've got the Plague Best Crawlers have got spitters. One's got entropies, one's got spitters. There could be one for sitting on home, one for pushing out with the carnivores and the blight hauler perhaps. Could be quite an interesting combination of attacks. Like you said, the seven man's an interesting one because by it not being 10, you don't get the opportunity to hit them out in the ways that you can when they are 10.
Yeah.
And does the extra two bodies really make a big difference for the points? Is, I guess, the big question for me.
Because the points difference.
I think I'd rather find the points to make them a 10.
Because it's 35 points, isn't it? There.
Yeah.
Which
And you've got two enhancements, right? Which is 35 points.
So that could potentially be right there, and like 25 plus 30. So is it 35, 25?
Which gets you another 6 OC. Could get you another melter gun. Could get you another two robotic weapons in the group, or two heavy plague weapons in the group.
Yeah.
I think for 35 points, that's a good swap.
Yeah, I can agree on that one. I think my other thing I'm looking at this one here is with the Blight Lord Terminators. I think if you're going to run Blight Lords and you want them to do anything, we had a guy comment that 5 Blight Lords with a Lord of Contagion can actually do decent damage, and I do agree, because the Lord of Contagion, one, brings a lot of damage himself. Rerolls to hit really help with the lethal hit spam.
Yeah.
But the Lord of Virulence does not do the same for them. The Lord of Virulence is just so much better with Death Shroud than it is with Blight Lords, because rerolling wounds on bolt guns is... I mean, they already reroll ones against the closest target, so you're getting a bit of redundancy in that. So you're upgrading it from ones to full wound. The problem is, their guns just don't hurt. Like, the Flamer's about it, but the bolt guns, no one cares about bolt guns these days. Sorry to be brutal. It doesn't bring anything to the field. Again, if you're going to use Blight Lords, focus on the thing that Blight Lords actually, like the best stats Blight Lords have, which is their melee profiles are better than their shooting profiles, even though their abilities focus on shooting.
Yeah, have the flail in there, and also if you are going to put shooting in there, I would put the rebroader cannon in there. It's got long range, it's got AP, and it's got devastating wounds.
Yeah, so at least you can fish for dev wounds. And you probably with a lot of runs, you're probably going to go with it's got combi weapons in there, to be fair, so you can reroll. But the problem with combi weapons is you hit on 4s. So each guy has 2 shots, the average hit 1, so you're going to have 2 guys shooting and getting 1 hit each.
And then you've got a 50-50 to get the dev, the anti-infantry up, and that's only into infantry.
Now, don't get me wrong, you will also get the full reroll, so you have a 75% chance per guy, but you're looking at a 75% chance to do 2 dev wounds.
Yeah.
That's it. Like that. Yeah. It's not threatening anything. It doesn't have the weight of fire. It doesn't have the bulk that it requires. I would much prefer to have a lot of contagion there, because then it means if someone's going to... Because the problem with a lot of virulence as well, a lot of virulence kind of sucks in close combat. He hits on 3s for some reason, because it's a heavy plague fist for some... God knows what I mean. 5 attacks. It's 8/2/2, but just like when you can, for the exact same points, take a lot of contagion, that's not only going to make the Blight Lords hit harder, it's also good. He himself is really scary. Like, a melee infantry unit does not want to fight a lot of contagion, because flat damage free melee is quite scary. So, put it this way: if I ask Dave now, if I have a lot of virulence and 5 Blight Lords, because someone just said, what about using them to hold an objective? If I had 5 Blight Lords and a lot of virulence on an objective, and you're like, I don't know, you say you're what's a mid melee army, like not even a dedicated melee army, like a mid one, like Black Templars. They're not super melee, but they're decent enough. You've got a squad of Sword Brethren. Are you particularly scared to charge that unit?
Not particularly, and also you can, depending on some of the layouts of some of these the objective markers, I might even not have to charge you to out-OC you.
Yeah, because again, only 1 OC each. Whereas if that had a lot of contagion in there, you are suddenly scared, because now that even if you kill like 3 Blight Lords, that lot of contagion, every wound that goes through is going to straight up kill a full Sword Brethren.
Yeah, especially when it would actually be worth dropping the 1 CP on kind of sustained 1 as well, and just re-roll, because you re-rolled anyway. You'll end up with 3 exploding on top of that, and then you're going to be winning on 2s, and then, like you say, they're flat 3s.
Yeah, so I think if I was to make a straight change to this list straight away, it'd be Lord of Virulence out for a lot of contagion in. I think that'd be quite an easy upgrade there. Then I think we maybe look at either committing to a 5-man Plague Marine squad, because again, what the 2 extra actually get you, or trying to find the points to upgrade to the 10-man, so you could drop the You could even potentially drop down the Poxwalkers, but again, we're talking now a 10-man with none of the characters to go with, and I don't think that's an investment really worth making.
Yeah.
So I'd probably just drop that to a 5-man, and just use the points elsewhere, because you can drop the drone in, get the points from there. You got 35 points there, and even if you put those points onto giving the Lord of Contagion instead Deadly Pathogen, so just so he hits even harder, that's not a
Yeah.
bad shout. But I mean, if there's literally nothing else for you to spend points on, 7-man I suppose you could do, because it is still OC at the end of the day.
And I think that music drive in the. By the way, thank you for becoming a Plague Marine.
Oh, thank you so much, Music Drive. Sorry, I didn't see that one in the corner.
Welcome, welcome. Yeah, like, to your comment, yes, it's kind of feasible for doing it, but we just talked about the Blight Lords easily being out OC'd on a point, and also unless you've got the LOC in there, it not being particularly scary. The Poxwalkers, you have to make a decision on if you're going to run this, is to either use them to screen, or you are going to push them forward. They are still incredibly slow. So if they're not going to your natural, your closest objective marker, then they are going to take, you run the risk of them just hanging out in the wind turn 1 or turn 2 when you push them out. So if you are going to use 20 Poxwalkers to try and target an objective, make sure it's close and easy to get to, or that you've got a lot of distraction on the side, so that if you push them out and they do end up hanging out in the wind, they don't just get cleanly annihilated because you've given your opponent something else to look at.
Yeah. Another point I figured out as well. You could drop the Plague Marines to a 5-man. You can drop the enhancement off Lord of Virulence. Then I would trade the Blight Lords for a unit of Death Shroud instead, because then you're looking at you're getting 35 points off the Blight Lords there. You're getting 35 points off the Plague Marines there, because they're 90 for 5, aren't they?
Yep.
Yeah, so you're getting so that's 70 points there, plus 10 off the the Doodad, the Lord of Relence's upgrade, which pushes 85, which pushes 95. So then you can put the Deadly Pathogen on the Lord of Contagion you're putting in the squad of Death Shroud, and then you can spend 70 points on a unit of Chaos Spawn, so you have something to do action sphere. That will do you way more use on the tabletop and battlefield than 5 Blight Lords and the 2 extra Plague Marines will, in my opinion. Usually 10 OC out of a Rhino is enough to flip objectives. If there's something bigger on there, then you're probably going to have to kill whatever's on it. But that's probably what my initial gut reaction is telling me to go for on this list. And potentially also, you've got 2 Plague Bursts here, both with different weapons. I might consider putting them both to entropies. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the Hellbrute here. I don't feel like there's enough shooting to make it worth it.
If you make the Plague Burst both entropy, then probably yes. And also there isn't anything else. And I mean, or you swap the Hellbrute out for a Predator, and a Destructor.
Yeah, I reckon that'd be pretty.
Just do a straight swap for it.
I reckon that'd be better.
Unless you've got a really good reason for what that Hellbrute is going to tag and put into contagion range. If you've got what your plan is to then deal with that afterwards. If it's just in there because you're using it for a las cannon, then it's still only one shot, even though it will get rerolled because of twin linked. You're better off having an auto cannon and 2 las cannons and a havoc launcher and plague bolters.
Yeah, and the thing is with Hellbrutes, when people use them for tagging stuff with like -1 save, you have to look at how much you're bringing that's going to benefit from it. And in this list currently, because Carnivores are going to be in melee, so they're going to be up there punching stuff anyway. Yeah. So this thing's really only going to be benefiting primarily like the 2 Plague Burst Crawlers, of which only 1 is entropy cannons. You're just not going to get the value out of it that you want it to. Yeah. So I reckon I agree with Dave that I would straight swap that out for a Predator Destructor at this point. And then the 2 Carnivores I actually like, because 2 Carnivores, 2 Plague Burst Crawlers, pushing with Morty is scary. Like, genuinely, because the PBCs and Morty are hard to kill, because they're 2 up save, 4 up invuln, 2 up save, 5 up invuln. But the Carnivores are the threat that's going to hit you next turn and hit you way harder. So it's like pick your poison on your opponent. That's really good. So I actually do like this combo here of the Carnivores, Mortarion, and the PBCs. Okay, I'm just going to check in chat. Is a full Rhino rush with Death Shroud support any good? Yep, people have done well with like full Rhino rushing into things and then doing a second wave of Death Shroud. It's still pretty good. It's just about positioning rhinos and knowing where to be for staging. Next question we got, I have a random question unrelated to list building, but being new to the hobby. Is there a lore reason as to why Thousand Suns seems so much more resilient than Death Guard? They get a ton of invulns. So, lore-wise, it's because magic, like runes, are giving them invulns, but the reality is that GW, at the release of this edition, took a lot of resilience off Death Guard, and they've tried to change us to a different playstyle of debilitation. Now, on release, they failed it completely, and it was not in a good state. Now, we actually do a debilitation job well, but really our defensive is mainly based off our toughness rather than the fact that we don't have invulns. So our Marines are still tougher than theirs, our Terminator is tougher than theirs, our Primarch's tougher than theirs. It's just we don't have the invulns on every single unit. But honestly, most shooting you should be getting cover, so even against AP3 you're going to be getting 5-ups anyway, so those invulns are kind of meh, to be honest. Most MLA is AP2, so you're going to have a 5-up anyway. So it's not as bad as it seems not having a 5-up invulnerable.
And also, if you go up against a Thousand Suns player, that army is harder to play, and also it's more expensive.
Yeah, and also it sucks.
When I say expensive, I mean points cost to put models on the table. Like you're going to be facing less than you've got, and it's harder to pilot.
Also, Thousand Suns get to use like 4 units out of their book. Yeah. We get to use pretty much.
And look, the fundamental rule is if you play Thousand Suns and you're finding that a weird thing, or whatever, just always kill the sorcerers first, take away all their cabal points, and then it's fine.
Yeah. Alright, so yeah, let us know how that goes. But yeah, the suggestion there would be Black Lord's out, Death Shroud in, Lord of Virulence out, Lord of Contagion in, and then drop the 7-man to a 5-man, and then you find the points to get some little upgrades, like a little scoring unit there. Okay, so we on to the next list because we're going to have to keep this going.
Welcome, Peter Fairbrother, to Plague Marine.
Oh, thank you very much, Peter, for becoming a member and becoming a Plague Marine. Check out the community tab. There's a fresh link to the Discord. You can join there and submit your list in the Plague Surgery channel if that's what you want to do. And also, you can just make sure to link your Discord to your YouTube. That will give you access to all the members' stuff. Thank you so much for your support. So, Locus Star coming up next. 2 Balance Putrefires, 2 Foul Blight Spawns, Malignant Plaguecaster. Yep, so we're going to Plague Bus, hell yeah. Typhus, Termi Sorcerer. Okay, I want to hear your opinion on this one because this is an interesting one. Because I haven't run him in a hot while, but I used to run him all the time, Dave.
Yeah.
Triple... Is it Triple Rhino? Sorry, Triple Rhino? Triple Rhino?
Yeah, 2 5 Plague Marines, 2 10 Plague Marines.
Okay. 2 10 Marines, 2 10 Marines. Oh yeah, because you got 2 big 10-man bricks. Yeah. Cool. 10 Cultists, 3 Death Shroud Terminators, a Bloat Drone, Poxwalkers, and 2 Brigands. General idea being Flamers and Melters with a few fat blocks. Marines character pairings depend on your opponent's threats of beefy versus swarming. Biology... Sorry. Minus Putrefire plus Foul Blight Spawn, 10 mat into the beef. NPC, Malignant Plaguecaster, Foul Blight Spawn otherwise. Terrain is usually pretty heavy, all ruins. I play into some variations of Space Marines 95% of the time. So that means the Plague Bus is going to do God's work against Marines. That thing shreds Marine bodies so hard. Tempted to find 110 points for 3 Nurglings in a Beast. Mainly because Beast massively overperform for me. Tallyman plus 5 PM to hold home might be nice. Could see dropping 1-5 for something if you feel like there is a glaring issue. Okay, so I'm just going to say this now. Never spend a Tallyman and 5 Plague Marines to hold home, ever. It is too much. If you're going to take
too expensive.
You're going to take a Tallyman, he either does it alone or he's using his +1 to hit by being aggressive. But 90 points plus the 45 for the Tallyman, it's too expensive to just sit at home and doing nothing.
And if he's not on the table, then he's not generating CP anyway.
Yeah. If you come against something that's got indirect, which again is not that common these days, that's when you can look at putting something like your 20 Poxwalkers on your home objective there, something like that. I mean, I've even just like, sometimes if I'm really worried about like a deep strike heavy army, because I've been running 3 bloat drones recently, I'll leave a bloat drone on home, just to have spitters there, because the thing is, as soon as stuff comes down, I can start moving, advancing it, and get it into the mid-board fight, at least usually in a turn or 2.
Absolutely.
Whereas like 5 Plague Marines, just you put them on home, they're never leaving home. They're staying there all game, and you want to be using the OC. You want to be using like to flip objectives. I mean, most of us are just going to hold home with like 10 Cultists or like 10 Poxwalkers. Tallyman solo can do it. Just be aware of like threats, but I would never put in with 5 Plague Marines to hold you home. You do not need that combination.
Yeah, and I doubt your opponent's committing their indirect fire to try and kill 1 45-point character on your home. Like we just talked about before, they're most likely to forget about it if it's a single character in there until very late.
Yeah. Now, one other thing I'm slightly worried about with this list is in Pariah Nexus, this could. You've got some pretty. Like, you've got some MSU guys there, which isn't too bad. But you have a lot of points in not that many units. Because, again, remember, everyone, these 10-man bricks of Plague Marines plus the Rhino are 375 points each. It's a lot of points. And you've got
Yeah.
two of them there, and you've got a third Plague Bus. They're all very good units. Would never say they're not a good unit. But in the days of Pariah, where you could potentially get a turn where you're going to have to do like 5 actions, you're going to struggle. You're going to struggle quite a bit on this one. And you've got some brigands there, so if someone tries to push you, you can fire back. And again, you play on quite dense terrain, which is nice because it means the long range firepower is not going to be too much of an issue, the lack of it here. I think it could do well. I think it's going to be all about your Rhino play, though. And you really need to make sure you're staging in the right positions. You're using the. I mean, I'm coming at this now. I don't like double foul blight spawn because foul blight spawn's so good because your fights first. Your opponent charges you. You fight first. 2 foul blight spawns. You give your opponent an option which is to just charge both and just eat one. Because you don't fight first on both of them. It just goes. You pick one.
But yeah.
So there's a good chance that if it's like World Eaters or something like that, and the worst bit is if they got fight on death, because they'll charge one with fight on death, and then charge the other one, and then depending on which one you swing with first, they'll go fight on death on that one, and then swing with the second one, and then you've lost both your 10-mans. I like 10-man foul blight spawns to be single unit. Now I know that's not always the case. A lot of people run more than one. It's been proven it does work. But it just gives my opponent a way to play around it again. It's not a great way for you to play around it. You're still going to have to sacrifice your unit. But it still gives them the option, whereas the single fights first, it's like, look, you're just going to die. You're just going to come into this one, and you're going to die. How do you feel about triple Rhino, triple 10-mans?
I'm kind of with you. I think if I was playing against this, I would be looking to reduce, like actually get rid of some of the things that can play the game a bit more, so that you are having to end up using a 10-man Blight Lord unit, 10-man Plague Marine unit to do an action or something, or commit that Rhino to doing it, and just once I think that's a big thing. The sorcerer, I assume. Well, I'd be interested to know what Locus Star's thinking about whether that's a. I assume because he's giving it the pathogen, that's going with the DSTs. The -1 damage is great. It's in the fight phase, but it's much. I don't know if depending on what you're being hit by, it might not be that scary because you've only got to chew through 3 Terminators, or precision the character out. And if I put him on the board, I put him with 6 of them, because then it's a much scarier prospect and a much more effective prospect when you've got -1 doing down, -1 damage. So yeah, I would. And then you're running Typhus separately, which is fine for a deep strike 50 mil bullet base to get in somewhere. You're going to end up screening with the Pockle because, like you say, the Brigands are going to be in play. You're still going to need to screen with something else because that's not going to probably do everything. Yeah, I think you run the risk of ending up using some of your big point sink units just to do actions.
I think my biggest worry on this one would be something you brought up there, which is this. I would have liked this list a lot more in the season just gone, but the problem is right now, because pressure is so incentivized, World Eaters, Blood Angels are going to be really good, and you are going to have to use a 20 pox screen. Now that's fine, that can be done, and that's good, and if you get that, that's fine, but that's all they'll ever be doing, because if you don't screen, you're going to lose like Rhinos, you're going to lose the guys inside because they'll pile into them after they've killed it, or they'll get onto your Brigands, and I think the 20-pound Poxwalk is good, and I think it's got to be included in this list. Or you have to go 210 cultists because you're going to need a screen in case your opponent gets first with a fast army. Again, my main worry is just, as that Sun Dead saying chat correctly, like, yeah, you can stagger how you get out your 10-man, so there's only one fight first applicable. And that is correct and that is true. But again, this isn't always a game where we make the decisions. Our opponent could like pop the second Rhino off their own accord and charge that. Again, that's down to your position and where you could be. But do be careful, like obviously, if they have a fast army, they could potentially get around, pop that. And it's a lot of points for what is a relatively fragile unit, and I like 10-man fights versus bricks because I think they're really good at holding an objective nice and safely.
Yeah,
But there'll be some matchups like, especially at the moment, like I feel like this list will struggle heavily into something like Tau, because they'll just shoot the shit out of you. They will just pop your
yeah,
Rhino and then they'll shoot the crap, and those Marines will die, and you don't have too much to threaten back a hit back because like a brigand could come around, but like let's say brigand shoots into something like a crisis suit team, if the thermal whiffs a shot, only gets the one through and kills a guy, that's pretty good. But then the chain cannon won't kill the others, and then it's still like a
exactly.
it's still like
Yeah.
a really strong unit.
You're going to in the trade. Even if that person goes right, well, I'm going to put this down. I'm going to pop that unit. Yes, you're going to bring a brigand out, but you're not going to kill my entire crisis squad. And then I'll have something else which will step out and pop your brigand. And actually, the trade game goes really badly wrong.
Yeah, that's the word. That's what I couldn't put my finger on. I was thinking, what do I not like about this list? And it's the trading units. But again, that's because I'm a very tradey player. There's every trade in this list has to do a lot of work because you can't trade 300-point units. You've got like cultists there. You've got a single bloat drone there. Great trading pieces because it's 90 points, 50 points. But then after that, you are either losing a plague marine unit or you're losing a brigand, and that's going to start impacting quite quickly. Now I actually like the Terminate Sorcerer. I actually found him with 3 mans actually is not as bad as you think, Dave. But again, I think Sorcerers are going to get better because of the upcoming meta being quite brawly. So having the ability to sort of get -1 damage more frequently on units is going to be real nice. So I do actually quite like that. And I feel like it's very important to have Death Shroud Terminates in this list because you're going to be very telegraphed in where you are because your Rhinos are going to go to staging points, and then it's obvious where the Plague Marines can affect the board from there. So having the Death Shroud in Deep Strike just keeps your opponent humble, keeps them back screening, and you can react to it a little bit. But I think this is definitely a list that if you play it, you're going to have to attack primary a lot. You do have a lot of OC, and I will give you that. You have a lot of OC, a lot of good battle line units. The Brigands are also OC 8 each. So I think if you play this list aggressively, and like board control with like some staging points, you can do well because no one wants to come towards this list. This is definitely a list that people don't want to come towards. But if you're going to play this list, I also would consider strategic reserving the Plague Bus because I think Plague Bus coming on from reserves is going to really help you break certain dead holds on the table and basically like to punch through and basically get across the mid table while the other 2 Rhinos stage and basically say you don't come near me or you die. And then obviously the Brigands react.
And you give it, but we talked about it before as well. The Brigands haven't got, they're not 48 inch range weapons.
Yeah,
you might want so to be careful when you're having to move them out on where you're going to put them that they're not exposed. You might even consider putting one of those into kind of strategic reserve as well.
Yeah, but give it a whirl. See how you feel about it. One of the things that puts me off the big units you've got here is you say you're against Marines a lot, and Oaths is really good for killing like big units. So having a lot more like tradability in units. So maybe finding ways to get something like more bloat drone or something in there, just so you like the damage has to be spread out a bit more. But first of all, give it a try, see how it plays.
Absolutely.
Obviously, again, we always say what works for one doesn't always work for the other. So if this is working for you, that's in the chat. He runs 10 mans. He has success with them, as I've spoken to him at events before. So so again, what works for him, I don't run them that much because it doesn't work for me. So again, it doesn't, just because we say one thing doesn't mean it's like factually true.
100%.
So give it a try, see how it goes. But I think my initial reaction to this list would just be that I am a little worried about your ability to do actions, and if you make a mistake in this list and get like a Rhino popped and 10 guys picked up, I think it's going to be very punishing. But if played well, it could be a very good board control army because that is 2 very scary massive units with fights first. Especially if you are in a melee heavy environment, I think this list will actually do pretty well.
Yep, agreed.
Okay. So on to the next one. Unemployed bot. Did I say thank you to him? Did I welcome him?
We didn't yet.
Did we? Yeah.
No, we didn't yet. I did it in text whilst we were talking.
Unemployed bot. Thank you so much for coming, a Plague Marine. Hopefully you are not a bot, and hopefully you are real. But thank you so much for the support, mate, and thank you for showing support to the channel. And again, check out the Discord, the community tab on YouTube for a link to the Discord. Join through there, get involved, link your Discord and your YouTube together, and benefit from all the goodies that you get with that.
And just quick, Guys, remember to like, subscribe, and please comment on the videos are either live or as we make them available to view.
Yeah. We did this one for Step on Step because this was
We did
the
indeed. The next one is Meat Tornado.
Meat Tornado. Oh, good lord. Right. Okay. So it's going to be Oops All Termies. We'll go to the pastebin link. So Oops All Termies. Okay. So let's go through this. So we got Death Guard Sorcerer and Terminator Armor, a lot of Contagion with Deadly Pathogen, a lot of Virulence with Living Plague, which is the enhancement I actually like on him better. I think he makes better use of that than Deadly Pathogen. Mortarion himself. We've got 2 units of Blightlord Terminators, 2 units of Cultists, 2 Predators, 1 huge brick of Death Shroud, 2 smaller bricks of Death Shroud, 2 Foul Blight Spawns, 2 Nurglings. Right, okay, this is an interesting build. This is very interesting. What's your initial reaction to this Terminator heavy build?
My initial gut reaction is I love it because this is very similar to what I ran in ninth. I was running like 40 Terminators in a list for quite a big chunk of ninth, which was a good laugh. So I naturally like this. You've got characters to go. So how many units of Terminators we got? We got 1, 2.
We've got 3 Death Shroud units, 1 being a big one,
and 2 Blightlord units.
Yes.
And then we've got 3 characters that can go with them.
Yes.
So your immediate choice is which you're going with which. Obviously, the Lord of Virulence has got to go with the Death Shroud. Yeah. In this instance, the Lord of Contagion, now you get into a question of going, do you put him with the one of the bricks of Blightlords? Once again, I would put the characters with the Death Shroud.
Yeah, same.
Like just by default, you get the regardless of the weapons that the Blightlords have got, the Flamers, and then the size and the of the Death Shroud are just the better combination outright. And it's got better versatility. So that's the immediate thing I would say. But therefore, you've got 3 units of Blightlord Terminators that are not getting any buffs or any -1 to win because they're not guarding anybody.
Yeah.
Cultist great. Yeah, Predator Destructors awesome. That's giving you some great cover.
I do like the inclusion of them.
Yeah, really big fan of that. You've got the bloke drains as well. Great, fast moving, can get onto points. Brilliant. A couple of units of Nurglings. We've discussed Nurglings enough in these lists to say what we think on them. But
I will make one quick thing on these Nurglings here.
Go on.
Would you rather have 2 units of Nurglings or would you rather have Typhus?
Typhus.
I reckon that's an instant swap there for me because again,
yeah, that's a really good point.
I'm not too sure what they're doing for you in this list.
You've got yeah. So the only thing I was going to say was that my and then final initial bit of reaction is that apart from the drones and maybe some early cultist legging it, the rest of your army you're only going to be able to strap. You're only going to be able to reserve. So deep strike. Only a tiny amount of it. The rest of it is going to be on the table, and it is going to be 4-inching its way around the table.
Yeah,
and it's going to be very different. It's going to be very difficult to get anything onto points that maybe the drones have got. Your opponent is actually going to have a chance, if they're capable of doing it, to kill off the stuff that you've got on that you've just put on points before your Terminators can get there.
Yeah, I think this is because obviously you're going to have to put the Death Shroud in reserves. You don't walk any Death Shroud. You're going to have to walk 2 units of Blightlords here.
Come on, sec.
Yeah, no, it's on. Because you don't think you can put that much in reserves, because again I need to check your points entirely, but the worry as well is if you don't put the Blightlords on the board, someone could just run you down. And one concern here would be that if your opponent manages to get in your deployment, you don't have enough units on the board to kill stuff, he can genuinely just lock you out of the board and you can't deep strike on anywhere. Now, unlikely to happen, because I'm thankful you have got the Destructors, you have got the 2 Foul Blight Spawns, which I do like there. Because you can basically then react if someone does try to push you in, especially with the bloat drones, which are nice. They go out early, you can score stuff. I actually don't think this list is too horrible. And now the Nurglings get a lot more value. So I actually like the Nurglings if you are if you're planning to rock the Mightiest Weapon skill, Ballistic skill, Contagion, and your entire idea of this list is to just bring really tough infantry and just stick around as much as possible. Then it makes a lot more sense because you can obviously deep strike them in with the guys. Which is quite nice. Now, someone in chat's put maybe swap Morty for a Land Raider. Would a Land Raider be good in this list? If a Land Raider... Sorry, go on.
No, sorry. I thought you asked a question. You go ahead, it's rhetorical. Go for it.
My initial thought is, straight away, I would agree Land Raider would be better than Morty if a Land Raider could carry 6 man and a character. The fact it can't really upsets me.
Same here. The only thing I would say is that in this list, if this is what you are going to play, you've got 2 units of Blightlord Terminator that you could put in there that are not currently being led by characters anyway.
True.
So that is going to allow you to use them. My only other change is, once again, what is your terrain like? Because certainly, even looking at the new UKTC layouts, land raiders are still effed in terms of being able to get out of areas. There's still only a few places where you can actually get them into the middle of the field. And if your opponent looks at the board and knows what that is, it's easy to position to go at some point, if you are going to bring that out, where I'm going to set up guns to kill it.
Or you're going to move blocks by like 75 points.
Yeah.
You're going to move blocks on your right and
yeah,
cool.
yeah. Just infiltrating, and I'm like, cool, there you go. That's not going anywhere. But it's not a bad shout to have a land raider that could then get the Blight Lords moving.
I think if you manage to do a big, I think this is probably one of the armies that you probably do. Do you reckon you drop all this in at once? I don't think you drip feed this because you haven't got enough forward pressure.
You haven't got enough.
Else. I think you have to you do a big turn where you rapid ingress one of these units. You drop the other 2 in. The Lord of Virulence unit doesn't need ingressing because it can just come down and flamer away anything it wants. I'd probably rapid ingress the Lord of Contagion unit just so it can get into something and slap the absolute shit out of it. Marty in the list I do like because again, this list is basically I heard you like 2-up 4-ups.
Yeah.
So leading into that even harder.
And I'm generally tougher than you.
Yeah, and people still like worry about Mortarion in general, and Mortarion can do real good work. And also, because this list is going to have a real big problem of staying alive turn 1 if someone pressures it. Having Morty who can like do like terraform action or anything like that. He's not going to die in 1 turn realistically as long as you don't put him out in the open against shooting.
Yeah.
So he can be the one that like scores you an action sort of thing turn 1. The unit of cultists can do the second one because your Blight Lords aren't going to have the speed to get up there. Nope. The big concern with this list is obviously Morty wants to go up and get ahead. The Blight Lords are going to get left behind.
I'll keep up. Yeah.
When you deep strike around him, if you do that, that's going to be okay for this turn that it happens. But then after that, like it's going to be so hard to sort of keep up to Mortarion. It's why I tend to like running Morty with like vehicles instead because they can keep up to him a bit better. But at the same time, like as long as you make that turn of impact like good and make it impactful, then I genuinely think this list could do well. I think you are stat checking someone a lot.
Yeah, and the same rule will apply from when I was doing this in 9th, albeit with an extra inch of movement on Terminators, is you have to target saturate your opponent.
Yeah.
You can't feed them stuff because everything's so expensive.
Yeah, you genuinely have to like keep stuff like you can't drip feed this army. This army has to come in. Maybe you lose a unit, but then you smash them into pieces. Like you have to, and when you come in as well, you don't want to be like coming in and doing an action. You have to put the trigger and you have to put the pain on your opponent. So you have to kind of play safe with your cultists. Maybe the cultists aren't as far away in this list because they need to be doing your actions while the Death Shroud stuff are getting stuck in. But I think it could be cool. Listen, I'm genuinely curious to see how this goes for you. As for changes, again, I don't actually think there's much I would change. Maybe putting Typhus in instead of Nurglings.
Yeah, and I mean, points changes have changed a bit, but what I would say is before the most recent data slate is if you want to play a list called Ups All Terminators, then you can put 51 models in Terminator armor on the table. So if you really want to go for it, like then you can put 3 bricks of 10 Blight Lords, you can put 18 Death Shroud on the table, you can put characters in Terminator armor. It's quite fun.
Yeah, if you want to fully commit to it, then yeah, you can get to it. Peter Fairbrother asked, "Is it too late to submit a list?" So we are currently working for a huge backlog of lists, so it's not too late to submit a list. But I'll be honest, if you submit a list right now, it will not be in this stream. It'll probably be in the next 1 or 2 because you guys apparently really like this content, and we got like. I think we opened it up, and since we opened it up, we got like 56 lists of someone sent in, and it's
which
still
is awesome,
going up.
by the way.
I'm happy.
People are adding right now, which is great.
Yeah,
so we definitely will get to it. But yeah, I mean, the most we can is kind of an hour and a half on these kind of at a time, just to make sure we're kind of not having to do 2 or 3 these weeks.
I've done 3 streams this week, so like, thankfully my partner's got a new game to keep her occupied at the moment, so she's quite happy. You happy over there? You happy over there on your new game? Yep, she's happy. So this is why I've been allowed to do 3 streams this week and got away with it. Okay, so
should we do 2 more?
Yeah, go for 2 more for this one.
Okay.
Okay, so My two like glance at your plague surgery as time allows. Right, okay. Y'all have already looked at this one. This is more for Dave. We've already looked at that one, right? Okay. So the first one here. So we've
We
got that.
is it Kazak? Oh no, we've got the
I've got yours are
who's it cover?
gonna top one here, and then the next one will be Kazak for Scott. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Sorry, I'm looking over my shoulder because there's basically a monsoon happening, but there's bright sunshine.
It's just a bit of sun up here. Dana Johnson, $20. Super.
You are
You don't have to
welcome.
do that, mate. But thank you so much. Thanks
That's
for
really, really
returning
kind.
this. So happy you were doing this part 2. You guys seriously awesome. There'll be plenty more parts to come, mate. We're gonna, as long as you guys keep putting lists, we will keep doing these reviews.
We will.
Again, we'll try and make it like either a weekly or bi-weekly thing, depending on how many lists get submitted. So, for example, if we're coming to a week and there's like only one new list, we'll probably leave it for like another week. But right now, that's not an issue at all. We have tons of stuff going through, so there'll be tons of lists to go through. Okay, so let's go for this one here. Let's go for this one. So we got Bile Fire, Foul Blight Spawn, Lord of
So
Contagion.
which list did you go for out of the two?
I went for the first one
Oh,
because
sorry.
he said the second
Cataract,
one we've already gone
yeah,
for.
yeah, got it.
So I've gone for yours, User Gunner, sorry. So User. Oh, did we do them ones? Did we do them ones? I feel like we
No,
did.
it's just that there were two, weren't there? So
Right, we'll do. I'm doing the first one then because the second
oh
one.
yeah, let's do that.
So we got Balance Putrefire for 60, Foul Blight Spawn again 60, Lord of Contagion, Daily Path, Lord of Contagion Droning again 10 points spare, two Malignant Playcasters, Tallyman, Typhus. So we got 180 points. That's 10 man, 5 man, 2 Rhinos, 2 units of Cultists, 2 Predator Destructors, 3 Predator Destructors,
Yeah.
2 Death Shard Terminates, 2 Fetid Bloat Drones. So this is very similar, and a Beast of Nurgle and Nurglings. This is a very similar list to what I was playing before the changes, except I was running triple Plague Bus Crawler instead of triple Predator. So I was running a Plague Bus, but I was running obviously 2 5-mans in it. Now, what's he actually got? What's he got that's got making up the points? 2 Cultists, I used to have that. 2 Rounds, I had that. I'm trying to figure out where the points are at.
There's a beast of Nurgle for 70 and a unit of Nurglings for another 40.
Yeah, I think that must be it, because that's 110
Probably the beast of
points.
Nurgle, isn't it? Yeah, it's 110 points at the bottom.
Plus the drone is 120 points, which is the...
And then there's Deadly Pathogen.
And obviously the characters went up in points. So it's very... Yeah, so this is basically what I was running. So what I'll say is, because this is based off what I was running previously, it still works, because I've run this list.
It does work. Yeah.
It still works really fine. Now, I used to run Plague Bus Crawlers, the difference between Plague Bus Crawlers and Predators is you have to be... Predators are better at shooting, admittedly, but you have to be more careful with your Predators. You have to use the range as much as possible, because they don't have the 2-up save. And I know it sounds daft, but that 2-up save is worth its money in Gully. 2-up save plus cover gives you a 4-up save versus last cannons. 50-50 chance, and that's very spikeable compared to a Predator who's going to have a 5-up save, which is a lot less likely to happen. So, and obviously the PBC has like an extra wound as well, and I like the PBC because like you can heal it. It has got a 5-pin button, so if you get someone like Assists of Battle who can multi-melt your ass, at least you can have a save on the PBC, whereas the Predator's just getting popped. So you do have to be a lot more careful with them. That being said, though, the impact Predators have on the game is probably more damaging output-wise.
They will scare your opponent in their deployment if you've got them spaced around the board in cover where you can poke out one side or the other and you've got good firing lanes. Your opponent is thinking, where am I going to put this?
Yeah. Now, one cool thing you can do with Triple Predator as well is put one in strat reserves, because it's quite nasty to come on from strat reserves. It can come on at any angle because it's got the range to do it at any angle. You're going to get all the shots off. And it keeps your opponent, as Dave said then, keeps your opponent worried on the back foot because it can just appear at any angle and get good shots into stuff. But you've also got a Plague Bus that can do the same thing. Strategic Reserve Plague Bus is also still really scary. Helps break tight games. You got a Beast of Nurgle there, which can drop into actions, which is really good. You still got is it double Death Shroud in this one? Or is it just a single?
Yeah, 2 Death Shards. 2 3s.
So I was running 1 6-man prior to this with the Lord of Virulence. I was considering the Contagion split with a Lord of Virulence and a Lord of Contagion, but double Lord of Contagion, that's 2 really scary melee units.
2 really great melee units, and don't underestimate how many 4d6 and 2d4 ups you're going to roll.
Oh yeah, it'll still kill stuff. And the good thing about running the MSU size Death Shroud squads is, again, we're in Pariah Nexus. A lot of things require action, so it's still being able to split your pressure and not drop too much in one place. and
Yeah.
I have ran this unit into like 10 Death Company. So you got 10 Death Company plus Chaplain, and a 3-man Death Shrub Lord of Contagion will kill the entire unit. You'll die probably to
Yep.
the fight on death, but it's a 200-point trade for a 380-point trade. So
Yeah. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the damage on the units with a Lord of Contagion is not an issue. You will kill most things you connect to, par like really absurd stuff, obviously. So that's two very scary units. I think this list is going to be really good for you. I do really like
I
it.
like it. Yeah.
Beast of Nurgle is pretty cute. Beast of Nurgle or Spawn is the question. In this list, I'm actually going to agree with the Beast of Nurgle, because again, you can deep strike it in. You can't do that with Spawn, and it's gonna be decent enough to survive. Doing actions, something like that. The Nurglings I dropped from mine. I can still see the use of wanting to deny scout, stuff like that. I don't ever mind seeing one unit of Nurglings. Me and Dave usually have the question at the moment when it's like 2 to 3 units.
Yeah.
Um,
One of them I get.
one we can understand. We're not too fussed with that. But genuinely, I think this list is going to be solid. I do think you are playing in a bit more of a knife edge. You don't have the 2-up save to fall back on. So you have to be a bit more careful, but you are going to have scarier shooting output.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Six
just
lav cannons, there's three auto cannons. That's a lot of damage.
Yeah, but it's definitely kind of toolbox. You need to know what you're doing, where to bring in the Terminators, and to get those good angles for shooting. But yeah, I mean, overall, like I can't say anything too bad about this because it's almost the list that I run. The only difference I would make is to basically I run Playbook Scrolls over Predators because I just like this. I like the durability. That's by it. But given the points difference now, the nerf to indirect, this could be a really good shout.
Yeah.
So
I like this list. I think I could see it working, and obviously you have done because you've played it, Aiden. So
yeah, I can't honestly recommend too many changes to it because it was already quite. I'd already kind of like got it to the point where I couldn't really mess with anything else in it, and this was like the one variant I was like considering going to with the Turbo Destructor. The only thing is there anything else we could potentially go for? No,
I don't know because yeah, I don't know because the only thing you could do, the only thing I would look to potentially change is the Nurglings, but then in order to make it for it to actually get you anything else, you've got to drop the Nurgling and an enhancement.
yeah,
And then the only thing you're putting in is you know, a standard bearer or a plague surgeon or something, and that's actually I don't think going to make any difference versus what you've got here at the
like
minute.
you've got a Tallyman to sit at home and sort of like get CP, which is good. But I don't like the Tallyman that much because there'll be games you just don't roll a 7. I know some people do like the Tallyman quite a bit. I have sound issues. Am I having sound issues now?
I can hear you.
Am I having any sound issues? Let everyone in the chat let us know if I'm in sound issues. Hopefully not. But what was I
Sorry,
saying?
well, it might have been me because I changed the angle I was sitting at, so maybe I was talking away from my mic.
Okay, well, I'm sure let us know. The Tallyman, I'm still not 100% sold on. I know like Zito and stuff. Anyone else in the chat having sound issues at the moment for us?
And if so, what is the sound issue? Is it?
Yeah, Dave's camera keeps flashing in and out. It's because my Streamlabs is being weird. I know about that. I'm trying to control it as much as possible. I'm not sure what's causing that then, Martin. If others aren't getting it, is it okay for you, Nat?
Yeah, people are saying it sounds okay.
Okay. It's alright, man. It's alright, man. Don't worry. So yeah, I don't particularly like Tallyman too much. I know people are growing on him, but I play tactical a lot anyway. So if I need the CP, I tend to like just ditch a secondary for it. And if you get rid of him, so he's 45, plus you've got a drone up there, so that's 55. It's like another unit of summit that can go score, like Cultist or something. You could then even potentially drop a Nurglings, and now you can get another bloat drone entirely, like a heavy blight launcher, which can sit on home, put out some shots at its 36-inch range, and still do quite a bit of work there. So that'd probably be like the one thing I'd consider changing about anything, and it's just because I don't trust my Tallyman rolls.
If you're going to play, the only thing I would say is, so I played when I played Necrons on Friday. I played fixed, and I had a CP per turn, and I had to decide, right, okay, I'm rapid ingress this turn. It's gone. I know I'm going to need to CP. I know I'm going to need to CP reroll this rampager charge. That's gone. I had a CP a turn, and I was like, yeah, I really would like to have rapid ingress though, or put sustained and extra AP onto my dash route, for example. I had the option to do it if I needed it, like I didn't. But if you're playing fixed, I think the talisman is actually quite an important one. If
Yeah.
you've got the points to squeeze it in, and if not, just be really clear what you're going to spend, what you're going to spend that CP on, because you're
Yeah.
going to get one a turn.
So Hughes just asked, do Nurglings have any play in higher unit size just to go up side of the board with more wound count, or is the defensive profile too weak to really matter? So the problem is, for me, one, they are still easy to kill. 6 up invulnerable, you just die to pretty much anything that shoots you. My other issue with that is you are opening yourself up to someone to score. What's that objective where they got to kill a large unit? Call the
Oh,
Lord.
yeah.
And I don't want to have Nurglings giving up 5 victory points. Because if someone pulls that card and you've got a big unit of Nurglings used for screening, they have to kill it anyway to get past your screen and to be able to move out. But now they're also doing that and scoring 5 victory points for it.
Yeah, and if you put them onto like an objective marker this side of a wall, and your opponent is there, and you're doing it to stop them infiltrating onto that point, and then they just put a single OC onto that point, then they get storm hostile objective. Or actually, wouldn't sorry because you wouldn't hold it, but there are secondaries in the pack now. If you read it, they will start to cause issues for you. It is fun. I mean, I have put 9 Nurglings onto pre-changes like onto the middle and gone, okay, well, go and kill them. And then your opponent suddenly is like, well, I've either got to commit a load of stuff to do it, or you're going to start scoring secondaries, but it doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, I think if they could threaten to do actions, like having a unit of 9 of them on an objective to do terraform would be hilarious because you could just physically block out the objective, so you can't get out OC'd on it, and then they just sit there and do the action and your opponent has to overcommit to kill them. But right now, like they can just kill them. All they do is give up VP. So I think if you're going to bring them, it's specifically for scoring secondaries like engage, in which case the 3-man does it easier because it can deep strike easier, and for move like stopping infiltrate and scout, in which case 3-man units spread out the max can still do that a fine job.
And 9 of them is the same cost as a Deshard 3-man unit.
And the Death do a lot more for you in that game. But yeah, so yeah, that'd be my only thing. Probably consider this list would be Tallyman and Nurglings out for me personally, but I really like this list. I think this will do really solid. But it is, again, it's not a straightforward to play on that one. It's you have to know what you're doing with every piece on it, and again, even more so if you're going to run the destructors over PBCs. Okay, so we'll move into our last one for tonight. So we're gonna have Kazak. Sounds like a dwarven hold from the old world.
So the way put Scott in in brackets.
Yeah, Scott. Just so
I chose this username. I'm standing by it, and it's hard to say.
Using Kazakarak.
Yeah.
So we've got 2 Files Putrifiers, 2 Fire Spawns, Mortarian Typhus, 2 squads of 10 Plague Miners, both in Rhinos, Death Guard Cultists, Poxwalkers, 3 Predator Destructors with Las Cannons, big unit of Deshard Terminators, Beast Nurgle, and Nurglings. So,
His thoughts are on this. Is Beast of Nurgle can do action from deep strike. I thought about cutting the allies to add in the drone, to add in a drone and living plague instead. Cultists can either cover home objective or scout up and screen. The castle of tanks with Morty seems to do really well for shooting, and then Morty separates mid to late game for additional threat. I have a lot of enhancements just because I needed points to fill. The Marines have a standard loadout with heavy plague weapons and such.
Okay. And US base, so ITC, so that'd be like ITC trains GW terrain, is it?
I think so. Yep.
Yeah, I think that's what they use. So 2 10-man Plague Marine squads, again, really solid in Rhinos. The reason I like this one compared to the one before is the triple predators with Mortarian is extremely like a scary fire base.
Scary.
People really have to respect that. Do you know what people also have to respect, Dave? That if they want this channel to grow, they should probably leave a like on the stream.
And if they really want to respect it, like, subscribe, and comment.
Yeah, just throwing it out there for no reason. Anyway, back to the list. So
yeah, that fire base is very strong.
It is.
But what I would say is, and as someone who's run Morty with four predators and plague best crawlers and hell brutes in a shooting setup, is you've got to keep them hidden turn 1, and then position Morty so that you can move them to get the benefits in your shooting turn. Is a relatively short, smaller area of the board, and you're kind of very clearly wherever Morty's going down, you're clearly indicating where all those other models are going, which means you've got to screen out more of the board with other units in this setup, and you don't have an enormous amount of them.
Datsun just coming with a £4.99 pound donation for one more list after this one. Fine, I'll treat you to one more list. I don't know if Dave might have to run off. I'm not sure. If you do, don't worry, Dave. I can deal with a single list
Okay.
on my Todd. But yeah, I'll do one more list for you, Datsun. But in
You can
regards
apply
to
for that anyway.
in regards to this one here, what I do like about this is so because the 6-man Death Shroud exists, that's a big scary rapid ingress threat. Your opponent has to push you out. So that means they have to put units forward. Now, doing that opens up to getting countercharged by staging rhinos, which is really good. But the thing is, if they try to avoid staging rhinos, and maybe they just want to push you out with like cheap shit units, you have the predators to pick them up with shooting, and Morty can then sort of keep advancing, and then you have the turn where Morty connects and the Death Shroud at the same time. So this is quite a nice list. You've got the Beast Noodle there to do actions. I think that's the only thing that's like slightly worrying me. It would be action people in this one. But again, we still got 2 rhinos. We still got cultists and poxwalkers and a beast noodle. So it's not actually as bad as you think. How many characters is it? Just Typhus? Yeah, so Typhus is going to go in the thingy.
He's going to go in the Death Shroud.
So he's definitely going to go with them there. Which is, that's not a bad shout. That's still fine. They're going to be good at brawling there. I like Lord of Virulence with 6-mans because the flame has just become gross. But again, if we're talking points being tight here, I'm also fine with that. I think maybe one change you could make would potentially be the Beast. And did you have another enhancement on here anywhere?
He said he has put enhancements, but I don't think they're broken out.
Yeah, so I'd probably drop the enhancements in the Beast potentially for a lot of Virulence and then just rock Typhus solo because you're basically just swapping out Beast for Typhus at that point. So the Typhus now goes solo instead of the Beast. The Beast becomes Lord Virulence because then those Flamers just and you also have the options to swap. So if you're in a melee matchup and the board's in a state where you're not going to get much Overwatch off, you could put Typhus with them. So now the -1 to hit and wound, which is really nice. And if it's open and you're going to get those nasty Overwatches or you're against like Blood Angels, you can do the whole trick that I love to do, which is, oh look, Mortarion is real close to your Death Company, and they fly over and then suddenly rapid ingress the whole squad of Death Shroud and then Overwatch them with it, and it's like, oh, that's dead Death Company, which has always been funny to pull off. So I do like that. Is there anything I would like else in this list? Again, it's a lot of points in those bricks.
So once again, just reflecting on my game on Friday, I pushed a plague butt up with 1 5-man in it, and then I debuffed the 5 onto an objective marker, and they sat there basically the rest of the game doing there's the secondary where you do an action in your deployment zone, an action in no man's land, and an action in their deployment zone.
Oh, recover assets.
Yeah. So I just had cultists that were screening my home, doing my deployment zone, and I had the 5-man plague marine unit sat on a mid board no man's land objective doing the no man's land one, and the plague bus could drive off and go and do its thing. You don't have that kind of flexibility with a 10, dropping it off somewhere and then going, okay, well that's fine if it's gonna stay there, or if the rhino gets popped and then it comes out. There's not a huge amount about that action items in this list.
I agree with that, but at the same time, it can work. But is this a list that because this isn't a list that wants to all in pressure? I don't think this is definitely a list that kind of wants to put your opponent in a situation where if they move out, you can charge them with stuff, but if they don't, you can rapidly ingress the pressure into them. I think the only issue with this list would, again, as we were talking before, it's about if you cock up with one of these rhinos and get it popped accidentally, and they pick up a unit, you're like 375 points down with nothing to show for it, for a unit that is relatively fragile. Like, you can cock up Death Shroud and they can survive because of 4-up in 1, -1 to hit, -1 to wound. Plague Marines don't get that luxury. And also this list is, again, you are at risk of putting too much stuff around Mortarion, which can like limit to your board presence. Because anyone that has slowing effects is going to be quite nasty and force you to stay near Mortarion with 10-man bricks. Because again, you've got 300 points in the unit. Any debuffing abilities on that unit are going to be like really powerful. So you're going to have to stay near Mortarion if you run into those kind of lists. And again, that limits where you can get across the board. And Pariah decks at the moment really needs you to be on the board in different areas, not just one, and
And
being
just to
aggressive.
build on that point as well, like I said, having had a lot of experience of playing car parks and Mortarion, is at the point that you go, you need to get your opponent to know that they're going to come out into a place, or you're set up to cover the 2 or 3 places that their vehicles are going to move to, and then have done a lot of pre-measuring and stuff to make sure that you can bring those predators into tucking into 6 and have firing angles, and ideally also be towing into cover for the shoot back, and know that then you are going to kill that turn, because the moment you bring the predators out and you've got line of sight on them, in return you are going to be in line of sight.
Yeah, definitely agree with that one. And the other point I wanted to make is you do say you're playing on. Is this the one that says US ITT terrain? Is it?
Yeah, US based.
Is it this? Is it this? Oh yeah, UK space. Yeah. If they're using the GW terrain, it's very dense at the moment. So the odds of you actually getting like the triple predators to get a lot of value, that is a cat. Hello, Cato. Could be risky. So do check the terrain, because trying to get line of sight with 3 predators and Morty could be quite tricky. And there's a lot of staging points for melee, which isn't too bad because it's good for your rhinos, but it's also risky for your predators to get jumped on by opposing melee. So do be aware of that. But yeah, give it a whirl. Let us know how it goes. Again, the only straight up change we'd make probably would be to put in, like I said, Beast and Nurgle swap out for Lord of Virulence, and then you can switch him in and outside of the Death Shroud Terminators, because I like Lord of Virulence with Death Shroud. It opens up plays like Rapid Ingress Overwatch. It's also just really nasty to drop in, doesn't require too much on making a charge, and it also makes the units less reliant on Rapid Ingress, so you don't feel so tied to that one command point, because you can just drop in, flame away like 2 units of infantry, and then you're like, cool, yeah. All right. So then, I wonder why you said just one more list.
Yeah. It's his list. It is.
It's his. Hugh Dennis, thank you so much for the $7 donation there, mate.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for showing love to the chat and putting in all this work. You guys appreciate it. Thank you so much for the kind words, mate. We do enjoy doing this channel. It's been a labour of love, but we just love talking about Death Guard. It's our favourite faction by miles. Literally, like Dave literally doesn't own anything, but like I can
all I've ever played.
I can be a dirty traitor sometimes. Like, don't get me wrong with this thing here, but like Dave is 100% committed through and through. Oh yeah, Epsilon. Sorry, yeah. Thank you so much for remember. You obviously did it before the stream. I wasn't sure if you were in the chat or not, but thank you so much for that. And I hope you enjoy your time as a Plague Marine. Yeah. I'm gonna have an announced giveaway as well next week. So all new members giveaway coming for some custom Saltire games. You know, the gaming aid sets. He's printing off some custom colours, which we're going to be giving away for members who enter that. So, so Datsun, go on then. The last list of the day yourself, mate.
You've got me 10 minutes.
So you've got your 10 minutes, no worries. So double biological purifier, double foul blightspawn, typhus, 10-man plague marines, 10-man plague marines, 5-man plague marines, 5-man plague marines, double rhino. Interesting, that one. You got to give me your logic behind that one, mate, because you've obviously got 30 plague marines and 2 rhinos, which to me is an immediate red flag.
Yeah, you're right. He has 2 5-mans on the end.
I know Datsun. I know he plays quite a bit, so I'm going to imagine he has a plan for this. But then we got 1, 2, 3 squads of Death Shroud Terminators. That makes Dave a happy boy. Plague Burst Crawler with the entropy cannon's interesting. I thought I was going to say. I did think I was going to say Plague Spitters to sit on home. But okay, cool. Beast and Nurglings, 2 Brigands. So there's a nice bit of shooting there for that one. So interesting list there. So I need you to take me through these 5-mans. That's some of your ideas on that. But again, 2 10-man Plague Marines units. Now I don't mind this as much here because you are committing to the large units here, but then you've done the opposite in the Death Shroud. So you haven't committed to a 6-man. These are all 3-mans, which kind of like make my MSU worries less about, with trading and whatnot. Because yes, you have got 2 big 300-point units, but you also then have the triple Death Shroud on here. So he's got 1 on his home objective, 1 in strat reserves.
Okay.
Okay. So that means you definitely want it to be you're trying to do stuff with this Plague Burst Crawler, not just sitting on home. Okay. So that makes the entropy cannons a bit more understandable, because then you've got 2 entropies and 4 melter shots from the Brigands. So there's a bit of anti-tank there. Not sure what the strat reserve coming on. Again, I suppose if you do it to just do actions. But again, what are you intending to do actions with that? Or are you intending to try and make charges? Because obviously it's actions, you can do that with far cheaper units, save yourself
Yeah,
40
yeah.
points. But again, if you want a unit that can maybe come on, maybe you're worried about like the secondaries that ask you to stay alive for a turn, so they can obviously Plague Marines have a way better chance at surviving than like 10 cultists do, so that could be the thing there. But I do like the fact that, oh my god, it's huge anus.
Have you just got
Oh
literally
my
just got
god. Oh. Well, I'm gonna go and have a shower and hang my head in shame after this stream. I didn't even
Don't
notice
worry about it.
that.
It's third stream of the week, Sunday night. I think you're allowed to just play catch
It's,
up a little bit.
yeah. So yeah. Well, welcome to Huge. But yeah. Yeah. So that's yeah. It's actions but more resilient. Okay, understand that. That is a fair and understandable assessment. Then there are a lot of actions that now require you to survive until the next turn. So I'm okay with that. Holding home again. That's an interesting one. Again, I get what you mean though. We are in a meta potentially where we're seeing a lot like Seraphim coming down, shoot, move, and all that stuff. So having the OC on home objective could be better. Though I would probably just do the PBC with the Plague
I'll just
Spitters
do
on
the
home.
BBC with Spitters. Yeah, I think that's your home guard.
But again, I understand you are
Yeah.
obviously you have a lot of like you've only got the two brigands to pop vehicles, so having the entropys on there obviously does help that out a bit. Um, sorry, it's an old account from another time. It's fine, man. It was funny. I'm just stupid, mate. Don't worry. I just don't get stuff like that. It goes over my head. But on UKTC terrain with the new things, there are a lot more staging points for rhinos. So actually, the 10 mans on there actually get to dominate a lot more of the board space. Do we have any screening units? So we don't
There's
have any
a
screens, do we?
no.
So
And the
my
other thing the other thing I would say is that I would swap one of the foul blight spawns and stick a malignant plaguecaster with one of the 10 mans and a bio and a biologist putrefier.
just to go maximum damage, you reckon?
Just to go maximum damage, to use the firing deck with. I know the foul blight spawns is great, but I'd rather have the witchfire out of the firing deck as one option, and I'd like to have the ability to reduce movement for anything coming in. Um, I think that would be I prefer that personally for the second 10 man.
Yeah, I like the list name by the way. I'll throw shit at the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah, yeah,
I am concerned if you run into World Eaters. Again, you got no stop scout move, but if you get World Eaters or Blood Angels, I'm concerned what happens if they just run you down, because you don't have any screening units. Now that's not the worst because you are safe in rhinos, and then obviously if they crack it, which again melee armies can tend to struggle to crack rhinos, especially if you deploy them properly, which I imagine you will, because again you've played a lot of events. So it's not as bad as you think, but there is a chance for you to just get overpressured instantly, because you've got a lot of stuff in reserves with the triple Deshra Terminators. But at the same time, you do have a decent amount of crackback. You know, two brigands which will then be put in contagion range, two big 10-man bricks which can do a lot of damage. So I can understand that to a degree. And I think it's gonna this is definitely a list that's you're gonna have to know what you're doing with every unit, because on the board you're basically starting with two rhinos, a plague bus crawler, and two brigands, which is obviously quite scary, and then obviously five plague marines at home, which is very risky because people are gonna look at that and be like, cool, you have like 5 units on the board. I'm just gonna pressure you down. So I think when you come to if you come to like search and destroy deployment against something like World Eaters Blood Angels, you might be in a bit of trouble there. You might have to put a unit of Death Shroud starting on the board. But again, you can do it. Remember, Heroic's only 1 CP now, so you can Heroic first turn. So if someone wants to come and charge a Rhino, they obviously base to base the Rhino of its models. You can Heroic and just try and get like one guy, so only one guy gets to swing at you, and then you pick them up. So there are ways around it. You put on really gun light, hence the entropy cannons. Tried the list last night into Custodes. I don't know if the 2 entropy cannons are going to solve the issue of being gun light. Especially entropies, because they're just so whiffy. I think if you feel like you're being gunlight, potentially swap that for a predator instead, because at least the las cannons have better strength, so like the 2 shots are gonna wound more often. And then you've also got like the predator autocannon to like threaten, like again exalted 8-bound stuff like that running at you, with like 3 wounds, just killing them every shot's really nice. So I think that's one thing I'd probably consider swapping there. How did it go into the Custodes? Let us know that as well. Because again, a predator would be really nice into the Custodes, because Custodes hate predators.
yeah. Hey, flat threes, but I think the interesting one here, because I think you still would put the spitters on the PVC and have it sit on your home. I think you rely on the brigands to poke out and start and doing damage. The even if you are, the good thing about having a 3x3 dash round, you are going to have to put one of them on the table, the other two into reserve. And I mean, you could potentially put three of them in. What that will do is force your opponent to have to keep some of their units back, so they can't commit everything into the mid board.
Very
They're
true.
going to have to screen. They are going to have to screen you because you could drop. They don't take up that much room. And if you get the chance to, and if you don't get bomb rushed and or penned into your deployment zone, when you drop them in, I would drop them all midboard across the table to basically cut the table up and start giving you some options that are going to allow you to kind of be safe, but then also have the ability to move and charge if you need to heroically intervene, and also to then do things like have your rhinos backed up when they're staged, make them free so that you can then take them out and move them somewhere else to harass your opponent a bit more. So yeah, your gamble is either going to be keep one of those three mans on the table or keep all of them off and make your opponent kind of shield themselves more.
That's a fair point. I think I think the list could work as well because you get the 10 mans do obviously work really well with the heroic intervention, which is really good. The only thing I could potentially suggest swapping out would be if you're really worried about it, you could potentially just go. If you're worried about points, I mean, oh man, do we have 10 points? Do we have any enhancements on anything?
No enhancements.
No
None.
enhancements. I was hoping we get 10 points off Summer, and then I'd probably just drop the. I'd probably just commit to the Brigands and like drop the Beast of Nurgle, the Nurglings, and just go triple Brigand with the extra points from. Drop the 10-man Plague Marines, so that's 90 into the Beast of Nurgle, yeah, and just commit to the Brigands, so you got like a lot more scary firepower. But yeah, I think it'd be an interesting list. Let us know the 2 5-mans go along because, again, I'm not too convinced on a 5-man used to hold home, but I understand some of the logic against like Seraphim coming down, all the jump shoot jump bullshit. And again, they'll just roast 10 cultists. So I get it. They are more durable. They are going to survive a lot longer. But I'm just wondering if those 40 points that could be saved over Poxwalkers could be better spent elsewhere, especially if you combine with removing something else. But I think it'd be pretty good list. I'd probably just swap the entropy for Plague Spitters if the goal is to hold home. But if you want to be using this as aggressive piece, the entropies are also fine. Like you said, you don't have too much shooting, so you want that more shooting threat. That's fine. But if you're going for the more shooting threat, I'd potentially consider dropping that to a Predator, and then trying to use the 50 points maybe something else you could drop. You could even drop the Beast, the Nurglings, and get double Predator. And double Predator, double Brigands, a lot of shooty scariness. Obviously, then you lose out on the deep strike actions from the Beasts of Nurgle. So maybe you could swap out the 5-man holding home for the second Predator, something like that. Downgrade them to Cultists or Poxwalkers. But overall, I think that'd be pretty good. I think I'll do well on UKTC. I think your biggest weakness is going to be rush down lists. But again, you do have a lot of heroic intervention fights first play there, so there is still play around it. It's definitely going to come down to your skill on this one, mate. I think, but overall, I quite like it, even though it has Brigands, which make me sick. But yeah, any last comments from yourself, Dave?
No, I agree with those points there. I think the list has got play. It's just I think a deployment and what you choose to put into strat reserve is going to be super important.
Yeah, I do agree. I think it's going to be
more so than and unforgiving than it could be with other lists.
Yeah, I think this list is going to require not just reps, but against a variety of opponents as well. But it has got power. It can do work. You just obviously got to be aware of when to do stuff the right way, like when to strat reserve, when to deploy safe, when to deploy KG, when to deploy up in the lines, things like that. But yeah, a cool list. All right, everyone.
Very nice.
For now, though, we are going to call it here. So again, we'll be back probably next week at some point to carry on with some more lists. So if you did enjoy it, leave a like and subscribe, as we said before. If you are on the fence about getting your list, reviewed, consider becoming a member. Join the Discord from the community tab on the YouTube channel. Find the link there. Submit your list in Plague Surgery, and we will keep going through these until we finally catch up, which I think might still be a while yet to go, Dave.
I mean, there's at least 25 more lists. I'm just scrolling down quickly. And I think the other important thing to say is if you are about submitting a list, there isn't a wrong answer on this. We've talked about this forever. The Death Guard have got actually a really flexible list building capability. Please just Put down what you want to play. If that's what you like to play or what you've tried, we want to see it. We want to talk about it because we want ideas as much as
Yeah.
you guys do. Like there'll be stuff that someone is you guys will talk about, or you guys say, "Hey, I do this because it does this." We won't have thought about, and I definitely want to see more variations in people's lists. So keep them coming.
Yeah, so definitely keep them coming. Again, if ever we suggest change, it's just sometimes it's just based on our personal play styles and whatnot. But again, there's no such thing as like a wrong list. You can't. I mean, no doubt someone out there will make a wrong list on purpose now to show us, but like all bolt guns or something like that. But again, these are all just changes. We're all learning, so don't ever be afraid to like submit a list and have us review it. We will always be constructive with our feedback. We're not just gonna like be dicks and be like, it's a shit list that, mate. Because we're just not like that, and we don't think this channel is about that. But yeah, so for now, everyone, though, we're going to leave it there. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining in the chat today. I hope you enjoyed. We try and engage with chat as much as we can. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for the donations. Thanks for the new members. And we will get, don't worry, like us, you're first up on the next one. We promise you are first up next time. So you'll definitely be happening on the next stream. Very first thing. But for now, everyone, I'm Aiden. That's Death Guard Dave. We love the Death Guard. And stay rotten, everyone. Take care. We will catch you all on the next episode. Any last words, Dave?
No, just like you said, stay rotten, everybody. It's always a pleasure to interact with you guys, and thanks for coming to the channel and spending time with us.
You'd forget one thing, Dave. Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
Bye, guys. Thanks for